come to you from Portugal with the brand new BMW 5 Series. Now the 3 Series globally might be their bestseller, but for India, it's the 5 Series that brings up the numbers. And this one is all new. It'll come to you in about 4 to 5 months' time, maybe somewhere around the middle of next year, a couple of months after the all-new Mercedes-Benz E-Class. So those two are really going to go head-to-head with their brand new models. Now this looks very evolutionary compared to the old one, but it is absolutely all new from the ground up. So it looks and feels a lot like the BMW flagship. Let's get in the car and see what it actually feels like out on the road. So in here as well, it feels very much like the BMW 7 Series. It's a lot more plush, it's a lot more luxurious, and the important thing for India is that this particular platform or this car is 36 millimeters longer than the outgoing generation, which means one thing, and that is greater legroom space in the back, which is something that was sorely missing with the previous generation. In here, of course, it's got gesture control, it's got a 10.1-inch central screen, it feels a lot softer, a lot nicer, and it really does remind you of the 7 Series. Let's get on the road and see what it feels like once we're out on the move. So the big deal with the new 7 Series was its carbon core technology, which meant that the B-pillars and portions of the roof which was structural were actually made out of carbon fiber. Now the 5 may share the same platform, but it doesn't have the carbon fiber. BMW says it's not because of cost, but it's because of the volumes that this particular model does. It doesn't lend itself to mass production of bespoke pieces like carbon fiber. Despite that, however, lightness is where it's at in the industry at the moment. Because if you can make a car lighter, you can make it more efficient and you can make it handle better. So the 5 Series is actually 100 kilos lighter than the outgoing generation. And it certainly feels it out on the road. But the real impression that you get when you step into the driver's seat of this car is one of absolute pure sheer comfort. This feels a lot more like an out-and-out luxury car than it's ever felt before. Today we're driving the 530D X-Drive, which is the all-wheel drive version. We will get the 530D, not the all-wheel drive version, but the rear-wheel drive version. We'll also initially essentially get the 520D and the 530i. Now all these new engines will be more efficient, they will be more powerful. The 530D, when we get it, will still accelerate from 0 to 100 kilometers an hour in under 6 seconds, 5.7 to be exact. And that means that as a luxury car goes, it's plenty fast. It handles fantastic, it feels light, it feels agile, it's got a lot of grip, but really it doesn't feel as much like a driver's car as the outgoing model. The outgoing 530D, when you got into the car, it actually felt like a mini M5. It felt like all the car you would ever need out on the road. It was rewarding, it was sharp. This is too, but it feels very much like a luxury car. Now we should probably stop ranting and lamenting the loss of steering feel, because the steering in this car has to do a whole hell of a lot other than just steer the car. As far as driver assistant technologies go, this car is loaded to the absolute brim.
The new 5 Series has a fairly advanced semi-autonomous driving mode. All you have to do is engage the adaptive cruise control and then lane assist to enable the car to drive along the highway with little input from the driver. It also has lane change assist, which enables it to change lanes on your behalf. It's far from perfect, however. Let's just say that it's still very much a work in progress. Of course, in our conditions and with current regulations, you're not likely to use much of these driver assistant technologies anyway. What you will use is the gesture control, which is carried over from the new 7 Series, and wireless connectivity for Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, which is new. The new 5 also gets a 10.25-inch touchscreen that sits on top of the center console and features a completely new iDrive interface. A digital instrument cluster is accompanied by an all-new multicolor head-up display that's 70% larger than before. Our test car also had a 10-channel 16-speaker 1400 watt Bowers & Wilkins audio system.
So it's a tough tightrope to walk for any manufacturer, and especially one for a manufacturer like BMW that its trademark is driving pleasure. So with this car, you've got a car that feels really good when you're driving down the road, and it also does all this technological wizardry to allow it essentially to take the driver out of the equation and drive itself if need be. That being said, when you're in the driver's seat, it is incredibly refined. It's got a creamy, smooth drivetrain. You don't feel the gear changes at all. You can barely hear the engine. And despite that, if you put it in sport, you can really hustle this thing down the road.
The driving modes now come with an adaptive mode which adjusts your driving style as well as to the road ahead based on GPS information, if the car is so equipped. An aspect that will go down extremely well with Indian owners, however, is the ride and handling balance, which is pretty exceptional.
So what BMW has done then with the brand new 5 is really amped up the luxury quotient. It still has that essence of driving pleasure if you're sitting in the driver's seat, but it's everywhere else that it feels a lot more luxurious and a lot more refined than ever before. And that's something that's going to serve them really well in the Indian market.